Now we calculate inside the electric field. So when we calculate the electric field inside the sphere, so what we see here, if we compare with capital R radius and small r, so in case of inside, capital R is greater than small r, and we have to calculate electric field at point P. So at P point, what we see here, there is no charge inside this sphere. That means in an imaginary Gaussian surface there is no charge. So because of no charge, no electric field. If we write here Gauss theorem, so from Gauss theorem, phi is equals to q upon epsilon naught. This is our Gauss theorem. Phi is equals to here integration of E dot ds, and this equals to q upon epsilon naught. So in case of inside, there is no charge inside this Gaussian surface, so value of q is here 0. So q is equals to 0 because of no charge inside the sphere. That is why if you put here q is equals to 0, so E is equals to 0. So inside electric field is 0. Now we summarize what is the electric field outside, inside and surface, and how electric field varies with respect to distance r. Now we see here how to represent graphically electric field versus distance r. So before plotting the graph, first we write the result. So E outside, this is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon small r square. This is the first result, we have already derived it. Second one is E surface, that is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon capital R square, and third one E inside. So E inside is here 0. So we have three results. Now we plot electric field versus distance variation. This is our conducting charge sphere. Since sphere is symmetric at both sides, that is why we are plotting here both the axes x and x dash. Distance is taken along the x-axis while electric field is taken along the y-axis. We have here three results: outside, surface and inside. So first result indicate here E outside is inversely proportional to 1 upon r square. So 1 upon r square graph is like this. So this represent here E outside is inversely proportional to 1 upon r square. Second one is here E surface, that is inversely proportional to 1 upon capital R square. That means when r is equal to capital R, result remains same. And last one E inside. E inside is here 0, that means no electric field. So this part here indicate that E inside is equals to 0. Okay. Same variation, E outside 1 upon r square, r is equals to here r, and E inside it is 0. So this is the variation of electric field versus distance. So this is the first one, application of Gauss theorem. Next we come to here, electric field due to non-conducting charge sphere. So this is the second application. So next we come to second application of Gauss theorem, electric field due to non-conducting charge sphere. So before starting non-conducting charge sphere, first we see what is the basic difference between conducting and non-conducting charge sphere. So in conducting charge sphere, as we know that all the charge reside outside the surface only, while if we talk about non-conducting charge sphere, so total charge is inside the sphere. That is the big difference between conducting and non-conducting. So on the basis of this idea, again we draw one sphere of radius capital R, and because of non-conducting charge sphere, all the charge reside inside. Previously when we draw the diagram of conducting charge sphere, all the charges are outside. Now again we calculate here electric field. First one outside, second one surface, and third one is inside. So first we write here outside. Outside. So in order to calculate the electric field outside this sphere, first we take one point P. This P point is outside of this sphere. Now in order to apply the Gauss theorem, we require here imaginary Gaussian surface. So let O to P distance. O to P distance is here, small r. Now we draw here imaginary Gaussian surface. So this represents here imaginary Gaussian surface. Now at P point we calculate here electric field. So because of positive Q charge, direction of electric field is outward. And if we take the small area, this is represent here small area ds. Now again what we see here between E and ds, small area, here angle is equals to 0 degree. So theta is here 0 degree. Now by Gauss theorem, phi is equals to q upon epsilon naught. This is equation first. Phi is replaced by close integration E dot ds with vector sign q upon epsilon naught. As we know that when we split E dot ds, that is scalar product, so angle is here cos. So integration E dot ds along with cos of 0 degree, because here E and ds angle is here 0. Q upon epsilon naught, cos 0 is equals to here 1. So E dot ds Q upon epsilon naught. E is outside the integration, close integration of ds, this equals to q upon epsilon naught. Now integration of ds. As we see here, because of sphere, area of sphere is 4 pi r square. So integration of ds is replaced by here 4 pi and small r square. This equals to q upon epsilon naught, and from this E is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon small r square. So this represent here electric field outside. Now second one, we calculate here surface. So in order to calculate the electric field at surface of the sphere, now P point is shifted at anywhere on the surface. So now this P point is to be shifted anywhere on the surface. So let's suppose P is to be shifted on the surface here. Now small r, from O to P distance is here small r. So in this situation small r is equals to capital R. So this is only one difference. So in previous result we have already calculated here E outside, that is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon small r square. This replaced by here capital R square. So E surface is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon capital R square. We just replace small r by capital R. So this represent here electric field at the surface. And last one we calculate electric field for inside. Now in order to calculate the electric field inside this sphere, now P point is to be shifted inside the sphere. So let's suppose this P point is to be shifted inside the sphere. Now again, in order to apply the Gauss theorem, we require imaginary surface. So we draw here imaginary Gaussian surface. This surface is symmetric to given sphere. Now again, O to P, this distance denote here small r. Now what we see here, if we compare with previous one result, that is conducting charge sphere. So in case of conducting charge sphere, there is no charge inside the sphere, but here in this situation some charge is to be here inside the sphere. That means some amount of charge is to be there. So first of all we calculate how much charge inside the sphere of radius small r. So as we know that for a complete sphere, that is have radius r, for r radius volume is here 4 by 3rd pi r cube. This is the volume of big sphere. So 4 by 3rd pi r cube volume contain charge, that is q. So 4 by 3rd pi and small r cube volume have charge by simple mathematics. Q divided by 4 by 3rd pi and r cube with multiply 4 by 3rd pi and small r cube. Now 4 by 3rd pi cancel out. So q upon r cube with small r cube. So this is the value of charge inside this sphere. Now after calculating the value of charge, we apply here Gauss theorem. So by Gauss theorem, phi is equals to q upon epsilon naught. This represent here equation first, equation second. Now phi is to be replaced by close integration E dot ds with vector sign q upon epsilon naught. Now again, when E dot ds, that is scalar product, so scalar product is to be break, it is split is in this angle cos of theta. So integration E dot ds cos of 0 degree. This equals to q dash upon epsilon naught, q dash upon epsilon naught. Here q dash means how much charge inside the small sphere of radius small r. So E is outside, integration of ds cos 0 is equals to 1 upon epsilon naught remains same, q dash, the value of q dash is here q upon r cube with r cube. So I am writing here q upon r cube with small r cube, and again integration of ds. So integration of ds means here 4 pi and r square for small sphere. So E into 4 pi and r square, this equals to 1 upon epsilon naught q upon r cube with small r cube. So from this identity, E is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught r square and r cube. So this remains only, after cancel out the square term, only r upon r cube along with q. So E is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q r upon r cube. This represent here inside the electric field. So this is the variation, or we can say compare with conducting and non-conducting charge sphere. All the result remains same, but in case of inside, some electric field is to be there. Okay. Now we plot graphical representation, electric field versus distance. So in order to write the result, graphical representation of electric field with respect to distance r. First I am writing here all the three results. E outside, this result is same like conducting charge sphere, 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon r square. Second one is E surface, this equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon capital R square, and third one E inside, this equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q r with r cube. So this is the three results. So first two result same as conducting charge sphere, and only difference is in third one. In case of conducting charge sphere, E inside is equals to 0. For non-conducting charge sphere, it have some value. So again we draw here two axes. So because of non-conducting charge sphere, all the charge is inside the sphere, and it have radius r. Okay. So this represent here surface variation, that is small r is equals to here capital R, again small r is equals to here capital R. Now we come to first result. E outside is directly proportional to 1 upon r square. So 1 upon r square variation means this way. So E outside is 1 upon r square. Second one result, only small r is equals to capital R. So result remains same, r is equals to R, and third one, E inside is directly proportional to R. So for directly proportional result, straight line. So this straight line indicate here E inside is directly proportional to R. Now same variation is to be plotted against x dash axis because of symmetric shape only. So E outside 1 upon R square, and again for inside, so this represent here E inside is directly proportional to R. So next we come to third application of Gauss theorem. Electric field due to infinite long line charge. So before the starting of chapter, as we know that there are three types of distribution. First one is here linear charge distribution, second one is surface charge distribution, and third one is here volume charge distribution. So in linear charge distribution, charge is to be distributed along the line. So in this application, we use linear charge distribution because charge is to be distributed along the wire. So first we take here wire, this wire have charge, this wire is here infinite long line, but for calculation purpose we define here a particular length. Suppose small l is the length of this wire, and here bold line indicate that L length and dotted line indicate that here this wire is to be infinite. Now in order to apply again Gauss theorem, we require here symmetric closed shape. So this wire so here cylinder is to be imaginary Gaussian surface and charge is inside this imaginary Gaussian surface. Now in order to calculate electric field E, we required either charge as per phi equals to q upon epsilon naught, or second one is electric field E. So in order to calculate again, use Gauss theorem. So before using Gauss theorem, first we see here where is the direction of electric field and how much effect of top surface, bottom surface and curved surface area. So as we know that because of positive charge, if this cylinder is to be converted into three shapes, S1 top surface, S2 is to bottom surface, and S3 is remaining curved surface. So this cylinder is split in three parts, S1, S2 and S3. Now for S1 surface we find electric field and area component. So for first S1 surface we see because of positive charge direction of electric field is upward. So this denotes here E, electric field. And as we know that small area is vector quantity and its direction is always normal. If we suppose in this board, if we take this small part So this denote here small area ds and its direction is always perpendicular, that means outward. So similarly, if we take here top surface, so direction is always perpendicular. So this denotes here ds small area vector. So what we see here again, for top part E and ds have angle theta is equals to 0 degree here. Similarly for S2, that is bottom surface, again because of positive Q charge, direction of electric field is outward. And if we talk about area, so I already explained it, area is always perpendicular, so ds is again here perpendicular ds. So between E and ds angle is further 0 degree. And last we come to here remaining, that is curved surface portion. So in curved surface portion, because of positive Q charge, direction of electric field is E and area. So area is here this way. So this is the portion. Now we select here particular portion where we calculate the electric field. So because of positive Q charge, E is the direction of electric field. Similarly for this plus Q charge, direction of electric field is here E. So now in this situation what we see, between E and ds, here angle is now 90 degree. Similarly for E and ds, this here 90 degree, because we require one point where we have to calculate the electric field. So overall contribution along one side, because as we know that for positive Q charge, direction is upward, so it may be here, it may be also this side. Similarly for bottom part, again that because of positive Q charge outward, so this side, it may be this side, but we require one side where we have to calculate the electric field, so we consider one of the part this way. Suppose this is the point. So what we see here in this situation, for top part between E and ds angle is 90. Similarly for second one, between E and ds again angle is here 90 degree. And for last one, curved surface, angle is here 0 degree, because of again the point where we have to calculate the electric field. Okay. Now we come to Gauss theorem. So by Gauss theorem, phi is equals to 1 upon epsilon naught times summation of Q. This is the Gauss theorem. Now phi is split into integration of E dot ds along with vector sign 1 upon epsilon naught and summation of Q. Now this E dot ds, that is flux. Now flux from the cylinder, that is 3 parts, S1, S2 and S3. So this integration is split in 3 parts. First E dot ds for S1 surface. So I am writing here S1 surface. Similarly integration E dot ds for S2 surface, and last one E dot ds for S3 surface, and this equals to 1 upon epsilon naught times summation of Q. Now as per the given diagram, we put the values of theta, that is angle between E and ds. So for S1 and S2 surface, angle is to be 90 degree. So integration of E dot ds cos of 90 degree for S1 surface. Similarly for S2 surface, E dot ds cos of 90 degree, and for last S3 surface E dot ds cos of 0 degree, and this equals to 1 upon epsilon naught times summation of q. As we know that cos 90 have 0 value and cos 0 is 1. So replace the value. Cos 90 is 0. So 0 multiply with E dot ds. This complete integration is 0 plus sign. Further cos 90 0. So this integration is 0. And last one, E is outside the integration. Integration of ds. Cos 0 is replaced by 1. And this equals to 1 upon epsilon naught times summation of q. This is the number 2. Now area. Previously when we talk about conducting or non-conducting charge sphere, so ds area is to be replaced by 4 pi r square, because sphere have area 4 pi r square. Similarly here S3 part, that is S3 surface, this is curved surface portion of the cylinder. So curved surface area is to be represented by 2 pi r h. Here h is to be L. So 2 pi r and L. This is the curved surface portion of the cylinder. So this integration ds is to be replaced by now curved surface area, that is 2 pi r and L. This equals to 1 upon epsilon naught and summation of q charge. Now from linear charge distribution, as we know that lambda is equals to q upon L, that is charge is distributed along the length. So from this q is equals to lambda into L. Equation number 4th. Now equation 4th, q is equals to lambda L, substitute in equation 3rd. So equation 4 put into equation 3rd. So E into 2 pi r L, this equals to 1 upon epsilon naught, and q is to be replaced by lambda into L. So L to L here cancel out. So we have here E is equals to 1 upon 2 pi epsilon naught lambda upon r. So this is the electric field due to long line charge. E is equals to 1 upon 2 pi epsilon naught lambda by r. When we solve the numerical, we required here value of epsilon naught, that is equals to 8.85 into 10 raised to power minus 12. Okay. So for simplicity, it is better to multiply 2 both sides, up and down, so that it becomes 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, and it has some constant k, and directly we have to put 9 into 10 raised to power 9. So from this identity, it is better to multiply and divide by 2. So this becomes E is equals to, when you multiply 2 and up and down, so 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught and 2 lambda upon r. So it is better form in order to solve the numerical, because now 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, this is equals to here k, and it have a value 9 into 10 raised to power 9. So this is the electric field due to infinite long line charge. E equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught to lambda upon r. Okay. So this is the third one, application of electric field. So what we see here, there is no variation with respect to length, simply it depends on E and lambda and r. That means it is depends on linear charge distribution factor only. Next we come to fourth one and last application, electric field due to conducting charge sheet. So there are two types of again sheet, conducting and non-conducting, like conducting charge sphere and non-conducting charge sphere. So I am drawing here conducting charge sheet, that is this represent here conducting charge sheet. Because of conductor, all the charges are reside outside the surface. Now in order to calculate the electric field, again we require here imaginary Gaussian surface. So simply we draw the imaginary Gaussian surface like cylinder. And after drawing the cylinder, we require where is the direction of electric field. So again we split three parts, S1, S2 and S3. So because of positive Q charge, direction of electric field is outward. For mid part, there is no charge inside the conducting sheet. So for S3 part, electric field is to be 0. And S1, since we are talking about one side, we have to calculate the electric field. This is P, like this way. If this is treated here, conducting charge sheet, so obviously when we calculate the electric field, either we have to take the point in front or in back. So here we focus on only above part where we calculate the electric field. So for S1, if we denotes the direction of electric field, so plus charge, it is also same side. Now from Gauss theorem, phi is equals to 1 upon epsilon naught summation of q. This is equation number first. Now phi is to be split into E dot ds, 1 upon epsilon naught summation of q and E dot ds. Now this integration further split in three parts as per the diagram. E dot ds for S1 surface along with vectors, E dot ds S2 surface, E dot ds for S3 surface, 1 upon epsilon naught. And now this q, since we are talking about area, so here we use surface charge distribution. So from surface charge distribution, sigma is to be equal to q by s or q by a. So q is equals to here sigma into s, sigma into s. Now we replace the value of theta. So for E1 surface, angle is here 0, theta is to be 0, and remaining part there is no charge, so it is 0. So for only S2 surface, we have some value, rest is to be 0. 0 plus E, since this conducting charge sheet have no specified area. It may be rectangle, it may be square. So I am writing here only S, and as per the situation we put the value, either rectangle, cube, cuboid. So I am just replacing here ds is to be S plus 0, and this equals to sigma S upon epsilon naught. Now S to S here cancel out, so E is to be equal to sigma upon epsilon naught. So this is the required electric field for conducting charge sheet.